And you're watching my channel, my English magazine. Today I explain to you competitive exam set English. This is a syllabus for English subject Chaucer to Shakespeare. Now I explain to you Chaucer's The Book of the Duchess, summary and overview. This is also in the syllabus of set. There are some objective questions from this book also. So Chaucer's The Book of the Duchess is a poem about the dream of a man who begged to have a deep sleep. Discover more about this poem by looking at an overview of Chaucer's life. The form he used in his poem and a summary of the long poem. So now I explain to you the poem. This is the who was. The first question is who was Chaucer? This is the first question. So there is the answer. Geoffrey Chaucer was the first published medieval poet and remains one of the most respected poets in English literature. Chaucer was born around 1340, most likely in London. His father was a wealthy wine merchant. He spent most of his career in service as a statesman, working his way up from page to soldier to customs comptroller to parliament member and finally to diplomat. Chaucer's career in later life was lucrative. His wife Philippa. So there's a question, who was the Chaucer's wife? His wife Philippa also made a good salary working as a lady in waiting for the queen. Chaucer's various responsibilities for the court required him to travel a great deal. Though his travels, he became acquainted with the great literature of Italy and France. Chaucer died around 1400 and was the first poet to be buried in Westminster Abbey, in a spot which is still called the Poet Corner. Now, Chaucer's first published great poem, The Book of the Duchess. Who wrote? The question is, who wrote the Book of Duchess? Answer, Chaucer. Chaucer wrote the Book of Duchess. The Book of Duchess, also known as the Dreams of Chaucer, is the first major long poem published by Geoffrey Chaucer. It was written sometime between 1368 and 1372. It is believed to have been written to commemorate Duchess Blanche of Lancaster, first wife of John of Gaunt, who was the fourth son of King Edward III. John of Gaunt was a patron and at some point a brothers-in-law to Chaucer. The poem is believed to have been commissioned by him. Okay guys, it's very important. The most obvious due to this is the name of the deceased woman of the poem, which is Lady White, as the name Blanche means white. Form of the poem. The poem is mostly written in a syllabic form. Chaucer's adapted from the French called French octosyllabic verse, which means there are 8 syllables in a line and every 2 lines or couplets rhyme. This was a form often used in long narrative poems or poems and tell a story. There is a short poem within the poem which was written in royal rhyme, a 7-syllable rhyming from which Chaucer invented. Plot summary of the poem. The Book of Duchess begins with a man who cannot sleep. His heavy thoughts and fantasies are so disturbing that he has not slept for 8 years. Her fears he will die of his insomnia. So he asks a servant to bring him a book to read, which he calls a romance, a medieval European genre of literature, often about knights and their adventure and romances. He says that it's a better romance. He says that it's better to read than to play chess, to try to fall asleep. He reads about a fictional king, Savex, who sets sail for an adventure at a sea and is drowned in a storm. The queen Alcon waits for him to return, and when he does not, she grieves inconsolably. She begs the goddess Juno to let her see what happened to her husband, if only in a dream. She vows to give her total devotion to the goddess if she grants her wish. The goddess causes Alcon to fall into a deep sleep and summons Morpheus, the god of sleep, to go find the king on the ocean floor, inhabit his body and make him appear to Alcon in a dream, so that she sees that he was drowned. He does so and Alcon dies of grief 3 days later. The narrator or the speaker of the poem figure that if a god helps Alcon fall asleep and dream, maybe a god would do the same for him. He sends a plea up to the gods that he will reward them with the most luxurious gold painted bedchamber with the bed of the finest down, with covers embroidered with the finest threads of a pure gold. If they will help him sleep, he immediately falls asleep and has a vivid dream. First, the narrator hears the birds singing the sweetest symphony he has ever heard. He is lying in a room whose walls have pictures of all the characters of the great European epic poems. For the entire story of Troy was wrought in glass work, thus of Hector and of King Priam, of Achilles and of King Lamedon, and also a Medea and of Jason, of Paris, Helen and of Lavina, and on all the walls were painted with the colors, the entire romance of the rose, both text and glows. To unlock this lesson, you must be my name is Sangeeta Math and you watch my channel, my English magazine. This is the important for set syllabus, set exam, competitive exam, and it is also in syllabus of English, set English. Thank you guys. You're watching my magazine, my English magazine. I'm also on YouTube and Google. Thank you very much. And also in Blogger, my English magazine. Thank you very much.